So there's an article that came out in the Atlantic today, and it's talking about how we should give amnesty to everyone who had different opinions at the beginning of COVID and throughout COVID. This is the worst possible thing. I predicted that this would occur. The people that cheered for authoritarian, draconian measures that were designed to make your life a living hell if you disagreed with them, when proven wrong, would say, "Oh, our bad. Well, don't blame us. We were trying our best." Now, let me be clear. I think there were people that weren't designing to make your life hell for the sake of it, just because they wanted to. Many of these people were duped, and they wanted to virtue signal, and they felt that their lives were suffering because of the measures that we took against COVID, and they wanted someone to blame. And it was easy to blame Trump supporters, and it was easy to blame people that were asking questions and saying, wait a minute, is this necessary? Those people we were told, they want grandma to die. They're the reason. It's a virus. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. It's those people questioning. And so it was easy for a litany of people to come out and say, yay, we're going to attack those people. We're going to make their lives hell. We want them censored. We're going to blame them. Those people existed, but make no mistake about it. The people that were issuing these proclamations and these authoritarian policies, such as lockdowns, locking down kids, forcing people to take medications against their will, those people knew exactly what they were doing. They told us that we were supposed to blame people like me that were accurately raising questions such as, should we intentionally destroy our economy in order to fight a virus? Should we punish kids by locking them down when they don't seem to be that susceptible to the virus? Should we force people to take medication, many of which, such as young, healthy people that previously had a case of COVID, seem to have more protection than those themselves that are vaccinated? People were convinced that someone like me ought to be censored. Someone like me ought to be one that was told, you're at fault for all this. And meanwhile, the people that were encouraging masses of people to believe that were people like my governor, Tom Wolf, whose administration forced nursing homes to accept COVID patients. I was told because I thought that it was wrong to lock down young, healthy people from going to work, which resulted in them losing their small businesses, losing their homes, losing their ability to have money in the bank, going into crippling debt. I was told by thinking that was a bad idea that I wanted grandma to die. Meanwhile, the very people telling me that forced grandma to be in a nursing home next to a COVID patient, and then she died. And now they want amnesty? They told you in Michigan that you couldn't get seeds, that you weren't allowed to plant a garden. They arrested people for being in public parks and on beaches. They locked down kids while they themselves, the parents and the teachers, went out on vacation and things that they told you shouldn't be able to do. Governors, politicians, senators, representatives that told you needed to be locked down violated their own lockdown to eat at the French Laundry or get their hair done or go march with Black Lives Matter. They told you COVID was bad, so you couldn't go to your job, but racism was worse, so you could go ahead and go to a million-person Black Lives Matter rally. They told you that you couldn't go get groceries in some places unless you had a vaccine passport. And yet they themselves say that those sorts of IDs and passports are racist when it comes to things like voting. They covered up the fact that they encouraged gain of function and paid for gain of function research in the Wuhan lab. They told you to even say that this could have came from a lab in China meant you were a racist, and instead you had to believe their theory that a bunch of backwards people in China were eating pangolins and bats, and that's what caused it. All the while it was for their personal benefit. They got more power, they got a transfer of wealth from the poor and working class to the upper class, they got to cover up their crimes. They want amnesty? Just this week, we're finding out that the University of Boston, the Imperial College in London, all of them are continuing gain-of-function research on COVID to make it more lethal. And there's a better-than-not chance that's how we got in this situation in the first place. All of your loved ones that died, all of you that lost your homes or lost your business, all of you whose children didn't get a proper education, and now the people that forced it upon you and told you that you were immoral if you questioned it are deigning to tell you, our bad, but we shouldn't judge anyone. No, we should judge people, because if we don't, these same authoritarians will issue these declarations when it comes to the next pandemic, or when it comes to climate change, or when it comes to the next enemy like Russia. They'll say, shut up. You're a person who only wants us to die, who wants this country to suffer. If you don't believe us, you should be censored and you're the enemy. And then when they're wrong, they go, our bad. No, the destruction that they brought for the past 2 years in this country is despicable. And make no mistake about it, the people at the top levels did this not just to facilitate their own power, but to also blame the former president, Trump. The reason Trump lost largely is because of the handling of COVID. Now we find out that Dr. Fauci, the guy that we were told we have to trust, was funding the Wuhan lab that likely created this, and that they were forcing a bunch of stuff on us that they knew was authoritarian and had no proof would work. The pain was the point. They wanted the country to suffer because we needed to be punished for voting for someone that they didn't like. Enough is enough. These people need to be held accountable. Republicans, if they win the House and Senate, which looks likely, need to immediately start holding hearings on people like Dr. Fauci. The people that did these things need to be held accountable. Your family and friends that treated you like crap because you were right and knew that lockdowns were a disaster and locking down children were a disaster. Remember that. They're the people that will sell you out in the future. It doesn't matter if they were misled. They cheered for authoritarian policies designed to punish you because they thought you were the enemy. Now they don't get to say, oh, well, forgive us, we meant well. So to the Atlantic, I say, no, I'm sorry, no amnesty whatsoever for the people that push these authoritarian policies. And I'm going to double down on my efforts at holding each and every one of them accountable.